If you are an internationally qualified nurse thinking about registering in New Zealand, you should watch this video before you spend a single dollar. I'm Meiyan. I was a registered nurse in both China and Saudi Arabia. I just completed my nursing registration in New Zealand. Today I'm going to break down each single cost, including from the very beginning to the day I got my practicing certificate. There are 5 main stages to the whole process, and each one costs money. Some costs are fixed, and some depend on your situation. And some, like mine, can double if things don't go to plan. Okay, let's go through each one. The first thing you need to do is to get your credentials verified through TruMerit. You might still know them as CGFNS. That's their former name. So this step took me the longest, and honestly, the cost surprised me. Here is what I paid. The credential verification service application fee, which was $300 US. It was about 480 New Zealand dollars. This is a main fee to get your nursing qualifications verified. It's non-negotiable. But I need to mention here, the cost for TruMerit verification is already increased to $380 US now. And the second one is the notary cam. I use this specifically to get my 2 IDs notarized online through the video call. It's very convenient. I spent about $50 US to notarize my 2 IDs. So it was about 80 New Zealand dollars. And for the postage, I was sending documents from China. It was around 177 New Zealand dollars. But if you are sending from a different country, your postage will be different. And the next one is the Saudi Arabian nursing license verification. I paid 150 Saudi riyals. It was about 67 New Zealand dollars. Because I was also registered in Saudi Arabia, so I needed my nursing license verified, even though it's expired. If you have only one registration in one country, you won't need this. And the next one is the Fit to Work China police check. I paid 163.9 Australian dollars. So it was about 175 New Zealand dollars. This is a background check. The price varies depending on which country your check is from. So you can look up the specific fee for your country. Now, one thing worth mentioning here, my Chinese nursing license verification had no cost. So whether your country's verification is free or not will depend on your specific situation. And it's worth checking early before you apply. Okay, and the last one I really want to warn you about is the account reactivation, because this is not a must. This is not a fee that which you need to pay. As I mentioned in a previous video, I paused my verification process for about 8 months in between, and my actual active process took around 11 months. So when the account gets deactivated after 1 year from the day you applied, and then if you want to reactivate it, they will charge you to reactivate it. So the fee I spent was 120 US dollars. It was about around 192 New Zealand dollars. But of course, if you can keep your momentum going and finish within 12 months of starting, and you won't need to pay this. So the total cost for credential verification is approximately $1,171. Of course, it's New Zealand dollars. And this is only to verify that who you say you are. Once the TruMerit verification is completed, we submit it to the Nursing Council of New Zealand. This is when your formal application assessment starts. So the application fee was 485 New Zealand dollars I paid, and it is still the same amount. And the Nursing Council does a thorough evaluation of your qualifications and background. They assess whether your nursing education is equivalent to a Bachelor of Nursing in New Zealand, and whether your overall situation and experience meets the requirements to practice as a registered nurse here. So based on that evaluation, they will determine whether you need to sit the theory exam or the OSCE or both. For most internationally qualified nurses, the answer is both. After the assessment from Nursing Council, if we are qualified, we will go to next step, which is the theory exam. It's a 120 questions, 165 minutes. It tests your clinical knowledge across 4 competency domains set by the Nursing Council. And the exam fee I paid was 161 New Zealand dollars, which is still the same, but this is including GST. I know how stressful the theory exam can be, so I put together practice questions and a full mock test to help you feel prepared on exam day. Try the free samples first, link is in the description below. Okay, now this is the big one, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, because this is where my journey got really hard. I failed my first OSCE attempt, so everything I'm about to tell you, these are my real costs for 2 attempts. If you pass on your first try, your costs will be significantly lower. But I want to give you the full picture. So the exam fee for OSCE is 3,000 New Zealand dollars per attempt. So I set it twice. That's 6,000 New Zealand dollars, just the exam fees. Okay, so the next one is the OPC course, which is Orientation to Professional and Cultural Context course. This is mandatory. It is required before you can sit the OSCE exam. So you pay this only once. So it was 500 New Zealand dollars. Now here is where things vary a lot depending on your situation. So OSCE is held in Christchurch only in New Zealand. So it's not available anywhere else in the world. It's only in Christchurch. So I'm living in New Zealand, so I only had to book my domestic travel. So there is no international airfare for me. If you are sitting the exam from overseas, you will also need to factor in international flights and visa costs on top of everything I'm about to share. The flight cost for me from Auckland to Christchurch, my first attempt, it was 352 New Zealand dollars, and the second attempt was 158 New Zealand dollars. And of course, we will need accommodation, and I used Airbnb to book. So for my first attempt, it was 275 New Zealand dollars, and for my second attempt, it was $597. The second time was more expensive because I stayed longer to prepare properly, and of course, it was peak tourist season, which pushed the prices up. And for food, my first attempt, I spent around $260, and the second attempt, it was around $390. I ate only very simple meals from restaurants. Of course, there will be transport in Christchurch, so the in-city transportation. I used Uber only. The first attempt, I spent around 161 New Zealand dollars, and for the second time, it was $153. So you can see the second time was actually lower, even though I stayed longer, because the place I rented had restaurants nearby. So I didn't need to take Uber for every meal. And add all of that up, and my total OSCE cost was 8,603 New Zealand dollars. And I want to say something about the failure, because I know some of you watching this are either preparing for your first attempt or recovering from a failed one. Failing was one of the hardest things I've been through in this whole process. Not just financially, I mean emotionally. I questioned myself. I questioned everything. But going through it, understanding what went wrong and coming back the second time, that experience is actually why I started this channel. Because I wish I had someone who had been through it to tell me what to expect. I've written everything down, the mistakes I made in my first attempt and what I changed for the second, and what I wish I had known going in. It's all in my PDF guide, what I wish I had known before taking the OSCE. It's available on my website. The link is in the description below. Hope it can help you. If you are preparing for your OSCE, I'd really recommend reading it before you sit. Once you pass everything and the Nursing Council grants you registration, you are not quite done. To actually practice as a nurse in New Zealand, you need an annual Practising Certificate, or APC. So my first APC was 3 months and 17 days. It cost 65 New Zealand dollars. This is a prorated fee depending on when in the year you register. Then it renews annually at 130 New Zealand dollars. This is an ongoing cost every year as long as you're practicing. So let's pull it all together. The TruMerit verification is 1,171, and the Nursing Council assessment was $485, and the theory exam was $161, and the OSCE for 2 attempts was $8,603, and my first APC $65. So in total, it was $10,485. That is my real number, over 10,000 New Zealand dollars. Now, your number will be different. Here is what can change it. Your country of origin, it might affect the TruMerit postage or police check fees, and whether you need additional license verifications, and also whether your country's nursing license verification has a fee, because for me it was free, and how fast you move throughout the TruMerit process. If you stay active and finish within 12 months, you can save the reactivation fees, which was 192 New Zealand dollars, and also whether you pass OSCE first time. Passing first time saves you 3,000 New Zealand dollars in exam fees, plus all the associated travel and accommodation fees, and also where you are living. So when you set the OSCE, and if you are outside New Zealand, add international airfare and potentially a visa cost. The number I've given you today is honest. It's based on my actual experience. Use it as a realistic reference, but not a minimum. If this video helped you understand what you're getting into financially, please give it a like. It genuinely helps other nurses find this content. If you are getting ready for the theory exam, you can try the practice questions and mock test. That link is in the description. And if you are preparing for your OSCE, my PDF guide, What I Wish I Had Known Before Taking the OSCE, is available on my website. Link in the description too. Subscribe if you want more honest, practical content about NZ nursing registration process. I'll keep making videos about what this journey actually looks like. I'll see you in next video.